talk about our trip to Disneyland. We're a local family. We live in the Southern California area, so we just went to Disneyland for a day. It was my husband, myself, and our 3-year-old daughter. Actually, we're gonna say she was 2 years and 11 months old because once you turn 3, you have to pay for a ticket. But we went and had a great day. We were there for only 12 hours and really got to see a lot of things. We went on, I'd say we went on 9 rides. They weren't all rides, they were kind of experiences. That was a really fun day. And I learned a couple tricks while I was there that I wanted to share with you. So the first thing I want to talk about is Genie Plus. I honestly didn't know that much about it. Did a little research. I knew you had to pay $20 per person, but I knew since we were only going for a day, I wanted to go on as many rides as possible. So what I did was purchase it for the 2 tickets we had, me and my husband. And after going for the day, I can say that it was not worth it. I know. That is not the opinion that you get from a lot of the other people, but the reason why is which rides are a part of the Genie Plus experience. It is a lot of the popular rides that are on it. Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, I don't even remember some of the other ones. Haunted Mansion was on there. The Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters. I'll put a list of all the ones that are on there, but that would be my first tip, would be to look up which rides are eligible for Genie Plus and if those are the rides that you want to go on. With a 3-year-old, we couldn't go on hardly any of those rides, so we were able to use Genie Plus for 2 rides. We used it for Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters and we used it for Haunted Mansion. And those are definitely 2 that we wanted to do, but we could have saved the money and just gone in line when the line was short. There were a couple of times where the lines were like 20 minutes long and we could have just waited in the line. I can say when we used it, we did go right on and it was like a 5-minute wait, so using it for those rides was worth it. The price of it wasn't worth it for us and the day at Disney that we wanted to have. One trick and tip that I've heard of was using a stroller tag. So I have my stroller tag here and I actually made it. I just used the Cricut to make our name and then print it out in Elsa. Super basic. It's literally just on laminated piece of paper. And this was my husband's idea as well. He really wanted one. There weren't as many people who had stroller tags as I thought. So having some sort of a sign, you know, we had the green ribbons on it, a big white sign, you really caught your eye when you were far away. Speaking of the stroller, this was our first time I've ever brought a stroller to Disneyland. And one of the rides that we went on, if you call it a ride, is the Disneyland Train. And it goes completely around the park and there's 4 different stops. My husband and I had neither of us had been on this train before. Whenever we'd go to Disneyland, would just walk wherever we needed to go. It was the fastest, it was most direct. We needed to take a break for Maddie and wanted to bring her on the train. And it was really cool. I had no idea that the train was this great. There's a voiceover while you're riding, and so they're explaining what you're looking at. There's a whole dinosaur exhibit that's there along the backside that I had no idea even existed. People talk about Disneyland, no one talks about the dinosaur exhibit that you see when you're on this train. It's about the Grand Canyon, and there's like this whole experience, and I'm like, I feel like I missed out on this experience before now because it's never talked about. You get a good tour of the park, and one thing that we were seeing people do is use the train to get from one side of the park to the other. So another tip that I would suggest is to bring snacks. This is an obvious trick that I'm just gonna go with trick. This is an obvious trick that you hear from other people, But they don't go into detail about the types of snacks that they bring or how much snacks that they bring. We definitely overpacked the snacks. So I brought 2 big gallon Ziplocs of snacks. I didn't want to go hangry. I didn't want my daughter to get hangry. And I didn't want to be pressured into getting anything that would that was expensive or that we didn't really like just because we were desperate for some food. I definitely brought too much, but that's okay because it all fit in the bottom of the stroller anyway. It didn't really matter. So the types of food that I would bring are just different crackers, as well as a couple sweet things if you want just like a cookie or something like that. One thing that we used was it's not beef jerky, it's like a Slim Jim, a beef stick basically. We got the Chomps brand. You don't need the gummy snacks. You don't need anything with chocolate or melty or anything like that. Bringing a ton of food isn't really necessary if you're only going for a day. Now, one thing that's new since the last time we went is the mobile ordering. Again, this might be an unpopular opinion, but I really liked the mobile ordering option because it had the entire menu laid out there. You can kind of see the different options. Little things like the kids meals versus a toddler meal versus different sides. And so it was really nice to do the mobile order for a few, couple minutes down the line, and by the time we walked over to that area, the food was ready and we didn't have to spend the time to walk there and then spend the time to wait in line and for it to get ready. So I thought that was great, and all the other features that are in the app are really nice. The different wait times, that's obviously how you use your Genie Plus. And speaking of the mobile ordering and using the app, since it is so electronic heavy and app heavy, yeah, there's no paper like it was with the fast passes, as well as taking video and photos, which everyone wants to do. You want to remember these days. My phone died about 3/4 of the way through the day. It made it most of the day. So I recommend an external battery pack, whichever brand you get or want. Make sure you have the correct cord. I almost brought the wrong cord, but this came in handy. I could just stick it in your pocket. You could stick it in like your bag. So highly recommend bringing this, especially nowadays. There's a little bit of downtime as you're waiting for your window to open for your Genie Plus, or you're kind of deciding where you want to go eat, or someone needs to use the restroom and so you're waiting, so the other person's waiting in line to use the restroom. So you're kind of wondering, what do you do in that in-between part? So we actually went to a couple different pressed penny machines, and you can actually do a search for it in your app and find where the pressed penny machines are located. There happen to be located in different stores where you can go shopping and have different souvenirs. So we went to one that was over in New Orleans Square, and we got a pressed penny for the Haunted Mansion. And then we also went to one that was way over by the Winnie the Pooh ride, and we got a Winnie the Pooh pressed penny also. I really don't remember it being that expensive. And that was really great to have that kind of as like a souvenir without having to buy an item or anything. The souvenirs we got were definitely the food items. We got a Mickey Mouse cookie. We got the Mickey Mouse ice cream. So I feel like I've been talking forever. My last trick that I want to share, and I can say trick because it's October, it's like trick or treat, but my last trick is that you should visit the Disney princesses. Let me tell you, it's worth it, especially if you have a daughter. The sign saying the wait time was 75 minutes, and that's a long time, especially if you have a kid that's going to be waiting in line with you. But two things. One, we knew we had to visit the princesses because that's what Disneyland's about. Her favorite movie, she loves Frozen. And we're like, I can't take my daughter to Disneyland for her first time and not see the princesses that were there. It said it was 75 minutes. It was only 45 minutes by the time we got to the front of the line. And that made the whole trip. It was totally worth it waiting in that line and getting that experience. And we got to see Anna and then Snow White and Cinderella, and it was so perfect. so perfect. I highly recommend. I know people are more interested in going on the rides and more interested in, you know, checking off as many boxes as possible, but visiting the princesses has to be one of those boxes that you check. So those are my tricks for visiting Disneyland in a day. There's about, I'm not sure how many there were, but there's maybe like 6 or 7 tricks that you can use, which are hopefully helpful for you, especially if you have little kids that you're bringing with you. So thank you for watching to the end. Thank you for watching this video. Please feel free to subscribe if you're interested in learning more about our family and seeing the different adventures that we do. We don't just go to Disneyland, we have a lot of other adventures as well. I will put up a video that shows our Disney vlog and shows our full day at Disneyland, so that'll be available hopefully if you find it interesting. One bonus tip that's related to that is, so if your kid is age 3 or older, there is, I think it's 3 to 12, there's a kids ticket that's there, and then anything older than that you pay the adult price. However, they don't require that you show their birth certificate or, you know, quiz the kid on what their age is when you walk in. So we just kept her in the stroller and had my husband push the stroller, and she was able to get in, and so she got in for free. Don't tell Disneyland she was older than 3 and we didn't pay her ticket price to get in. But definitely recommend that. You can kind of fudge the age a little bit if your kid's like 3.5 and they're a little bit on the smaller side, you know, give it a try. See if you can get them in for free and then spend the money eating the snacks. I turned off the camera and I realized there were a couple more tricks that I wanted to share with you. So one of them was the types of shoes that your toddler should wear. Since we already know that toddlers can't go on all of the rides, they might be able to go on a couple if they're a little braver, if they can meet the height requirements. So one of the things that I did was I found these Fila shoes, and they have a really thick sole. It's probably, I mean, it's at least an inch, it might be even more. So it was really comfortable for her to wear, but it also gave her a little bit of height. So if there were any rides she wanted to go on where she was kind of right on the border of being tall enough, it gave her the little extra boost so you don't have any of those tantrums if they're not tall enough to go on some of the rides that they might want to. Speaking of rides, my final advice would be, if you're going to Disneyland with a toddler, is to lower your expectations. When we normally go to Disneyland, we are on a deadline. We want to get to all of the rides. We want to see as many things as possible. But we knew that that wasn't going to be possible with a toddler running around with us. And we knew that the different things, different rides and different experiences based on what her age was. So we had very low expectations. We said we're going to see what we can see. And it's going to be fun regardless. We were able to go on 13 of the 19 attractions that would work for her age group. So we saw a lot of what we wanted to. Even going into it with low expectations, we got a lot more done than we had initially thought. My recommendation is it's going to be a much slower pace based on what your mood is, based on what their mood is, based on your eating schedule, based on ride availability. It's just going to be based on the speed of your toddler, and it's really important to lower your expectations in what you can accomplish, but I promise it's still going to be so much fun, and it was one of the best days that we had as a family. So there you have it. Those are all of my tips and tricks for visiting Disneyland with a toddler for the first time. Hopefully there's some new information in there that you enjoyed, so please give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, if you learned something new, and please feel free to subscribe and stick around and follow our Disneyland vlog, which is upcoming about our day in Disneyland. Thanks for watching.